Hey guys, it's RebelQueen. Okay, I'm here for another review, but before I get into that, it got pointed out to me by a friend who watched. Oh, hi, Beauty. Sorry, one of my cats. But anyway, as I was saying, it got pointed out to me by a friend who watched the Devil May Cry anime review that I had gotten some of my information wrong, and so I just want to apologize for that. I know some of you probably already may or may not comment on that. Who do you know? Sorry. Beauty's a lot more interactive than LK. But anyway, uh, I want to apologize for the facts I got wrong in the Devil May Cry review. As I did point out in the Devil May Cry review, since I did not have the correct consoles to play all the different games, I was basically just having to try and keep up with all the information from like different sources and all that. Basically from like what I found from my novel, the anime, manga, what I was able to pull up online from the different games, and what I was hearing about the different games and stuff, and from what gameplay I was able to see and what little gameplay I was able to do. So on that note, again, I'm sorry for like whatever the information I got wrong. So I'm sorry about that. Now let me go on to this review. If you do not pick up on, this is a little throwback. This isn't an anime review. This is actually a classic cartoon review. I kind of figured, because after all, if you've paid attention to our YouTube stuff, or the stream stuff, we're not one-hit wonders. We like to play the field. And this is a particular series that I enjoyed growing up, and it actually, oh god, that feels a little weird saying that I enjoyed growing up, but this series did pretty much get a lot of good showing. Oh, hello, LK. Because, I mean, it did get some it did earn awards for its cartoon run and stuff. And on that note, if you don't recognize this opening, I will be very shocked. Though I know I should be wary, still I venture someplace scary. Ghostly hauntings I turn loose. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice! I think that should kind of clue you guys in onto the cartoon. Yes. Da-da-da! I got very lucky, and Walmart actually had the complete series of the Beetlejuice cartoon series. Because this was actually kind of, like I said, one of my very favorite cartoon series growing up, and it wasn't until later that I did learn about the movie that they did when I was a little bit older. It was actually because of the movie that they had to do the cartoon series, because the movie was so popular. But of course, kind of as you know from the movie, they kind of had to really kind of rework a lot of things to make it pretty kid-friendly. But like I said, with the fact that the Beetlejuice cartoon did end up winning a few kid cartoon awards, it did really well for 3 seasons. Well, actually 4 seasons, sorry. Because, I mean, After all, it ran for 94 episodes, 4 seasons, so for a cartoon set in the 90s, that's a pretty good deal. And one of the things I loved about that cartoon was that it was pretty much like off the wall. I mean, it kind of set you back. It almost kind of tiny Looney Tunes verse-esque kind of stuff. Because I mean, you have Beetlejuice kind of doing all his crazy antics. Because I mean, literally, he has to be careful with his words. Because it's like if he says something, his body will automatically go, "Oh crud," and transform into like if he says something like, "Oh, I've got a," because like in one episode she's like, "I've got a bright idea," and he'll turn into like a light bulb. And then it's just, and then like of course. Pretty much like it was also just kind of really funny with all the stuff with the fact that like Lydia was also kind of just like this whole mainstream character of like, oh, you don't have to be the same as everybody else, and yet you can still have all these friends and stuff. Because I mean, like, if you remember the cartoon or not, depending on how old you are, then after all, you remember Lydia is pretty much this little goth girl in this like Catholic school, and she's pretty much going, and she's pretty much just doing her own thing, and she still has a few friends, and she's not really taking any crud from this little perfect, pretty, blonde, pink girl. Who, honestly, when I was rewatching the series and I was seeing all this again, I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, so many comments to be made. Especially like during the whole Romeo and Juliet episode when Lydia's like doing the costume designing and stuff, and Beetlejuice is like, I'll show you. It's like, I'll show you that's not how you treat my friend. I'm like, Beetlejuice, you need to pretty much keep a hold on it. And kind of going like back to the movie, I mean, the movie which kind of inspired all this, the movie itself is good as well. I mean, though like I said, they kind of did have to kind of tone a few things down to make it the stuff for the cartoon kid friendly, because in the movie Beetlejuice is kind of a little bit more raunchy and not exactly kid friendly, but at least for the time that the movie was made, yeah. Now, considering everything that's on TV and stuff, it wouldn't really be an issue. In fact, there's kind of rumors going around that we might finally get a Beetlejuice movie sequel. It's kind of in the works. I mean, there originally was plans for a sequel to happen when this was originally done, but it kind of fell through. But even now, years later, it's kind of been going, they're kind of revisiting it. In fact, Michael Keaton, who originally played Beetlejuice, he's kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll redo the role. Just kind of as long, kind of like if the script is right and all that, etc., etc. It's just kind of like one of those things, timing and everything. Because, like, apparently from what I read with what was supposed to be, like, the original sequel script, it was supposed to be, like, this big Hawaii trip, and that Lydia's dad was supposed to do this thing that pissed off a tiki god, I can't even say it right, tiki god, there we go. And Beetlejuice had to out-surf the tiki god. And I don't know how he came back from the dead. They never explained that. But apparently in the surf-off, he pulls some little tricks in order to win, and everything ends up being hunky-dory. But that was apparently like the general idea for the sequel from what I read. At least at the time that they were thinking of doing it at the time. Who knows what the possible sequel that they might end up doing now would probably be. But like I said, the cartoon itself, it's just like really funny because it's like they have all the different stuff, and it's like we see like a lot of, like, there's like a lot of learning moments, like it's funny seeing Beetlejuice like use his like ghostly powers to either turn himself into like, oh, I'm cousin blah blah blah, to try to hang out with Lydia in the mortal world, or like when she's with her Girl Scout troop, he'll turn into like a female version, and they for like one episode they went to camp in the netherworld. It's just slapstick, funny, hilarious, and it's like sometimes the episodes will be like in a classic cartoon, it's like 2 episodes in one. Others, the whole thing is like something pretty big that has to be just like the whole episode. But it's like classic Beetlejuice is like, he's the crazy off-the-wall character that we know and love, and Lydia is pretty much his voice of reason. Or she kind of goes, hey Beetlejuice, can you do this? Pretty much for those of you who kind of don't remember the series as well as since I had this, and I was like, yay, time to rewatch. And it's like, some of it I was also kind of just like, oh, I get to rewatch this opening sequence when it's like, when she goes through the whole stuff, and it's like, pretty much like almost like the opening sequence for the Beetlejuice cartoon is pretty much like, it's almost pretty much a roller coaster ride going through the netherworld and stuff. It's just, it makes you kind of, I mean, I feel bad for kids today, because not that there aren't some good cartoons out there right now, but it's like, I look back at the cartoons that we had in the 90s and stuff, and then I look at the cartoons today, and I'm like, seriously? This is the stuff kids are watching now? I'm like, what the heck? It's like, I understand that, believe me, I understand that they have to that because of social situations, and that they have to try and limit kind of certain scenarios, because they're trying to teach kids about bullying, or trying to teach them about other subjects. even in cartoons, but it's like, it's still kind of like, really? You you can't tell me that you can go about that in a normal cartoon, because it's like, we got in, even in like the old school cartoons, we still got taught about that stuff with all the slapstick humor. Because even like in, I know it's not part of the review, but even like in Tiny Toons Adventures and stuff, they still were able to throw in like the bullying situations and stuff and taught us about it and all that stuff, but, and it'd still be a good cartoon. So it's like, I honestly kind of am wondering about some of these cartoons. But, rating the Beetlejuice cartoons, considering I am such a fan, I'm going to have to be careful here. Oh, but before that, like, even then they also had like just like crazy little scenarios, like in one episode, babysitting. Beetlejuice like took that to be kind of literal, like because he needed money, he's like, he took the babies and he was actually going to sit on them. Really? But yeah. But for a rating on the series as a whole, I'd give it a 8.59, just because I know there are some people who might have some issues with the series, and since it's obvious that I do like the series so much, I don't want to just give it like that perfect 10 or so on. I don't want to be like so super high on it. Again, kind of like, again, going back to earlier before I did this whole thing, I want to apologize. Like I said, a friend pointed out to me that I got the Devil May Cry, quite a few of the Devil May Cry facts wrong. So again, I want to apologize for that. Like I said, I limited information there, only coming from my novel. I only recently got the anime, and it was pretty much going from stuff I was picking up from what little time I had been I was able to play the game, because it's like no console to be able to pick up the series and play. So again, any of you have already seen the review and are now watching this, again, I'm sorry. Anyway, like I said there, Albion is going to try and stream a few things. He's said he's probably going to stream Yakuza 6 because he's getting close to finishing 5. And he's already kind of picked through his library. Like I said, he's picked through his library of games, and he's picked out a few of them there that he's probably going to stream. And like I said on Devil May Cry, I'm probably going to go through a few, might go through my, through more of my, collection of stuff, and might do a few more reviews like this. So, because after all, I pretty much have all the Studio Ghibli movies, and There are a few movies on that you might have go, wait a minute, that's Studio Ghibli? Because believe me, there were a few on the Studio Ghibli list that I was like, oh really, that's Ghibli? And might do a few more reviews like this. And I've actually got a little list of games I need to play, so that I might end up giving you guys a few first impression reviews, because the games I've got to play, it would pretty much, unlike Paper Mario, it would pretty much be, if I did a binge fest on them, it would pretty much, you would not hear anything out of me for probably a couple weeks, because they are pretty much like JRPGs, and it would take a long time to get through them, especially if I got stuck on a choke point. Anyway, you'll either hear from me or Albion pretty soon, and so see you guys later. Bye.